Hey folks, this is a follow-up video to my August 14th, 2018 RQG Darkness of Runegate with Ed game. Ed was back in the area doing another conference talk or paper presentation. He came down with his son Mark. We spent a couple hours at the National Museum of the Marine Corps. His son had not been there. Of course, both Ed and I have, and so we were able to show him some things and just walk through the whole place. It was really nice. A number of updates. There was supposed to be a new section, but by the time we were done, it was after 1 o'clock. So we went, grabbed some chow, and then hit the house and tried to continue this Darkness of Runegate game. I did send him a link to the previous game. I'll put that in the description to see, where we were and what we did, because he remembered Vasana getting hit with the darkness elemental and that putting her down and out for like a couple hours, something like that. I don't remember now either. But we actually did narrate through and have a small battle afterwards to get things done before they actually had to leave last time. So what actually happened after that happened, Harmas chased after the witch, as we called her, and she booked out in the woods and hid. Harmas couldn't find her. Comes back. They send a couple of the followers to go get. Shoot, now I'm forgetting his name. The weapon thane. From Runegate, Severos, and get him, bring back, we know who's causing the problem, and we know what to do about it, kind of thing. So Severos shows up with the two Hamakti. Vasana comes out of her fear, and they, as they're discussing things, a group of townsfolk are walking along the pathway into the woods up to the worship area because they want to get healed from their diseases. So they follow and trace, right? And once they get fairly close to see what's going on, the priestess is not there, and so a couple of the brew point to actually it was the ogre, the guy with the cart, points to a couple of the brews and says, "Go find her." So the brew come down the path. The party's trying to hide. The two Humaki do not do very well. And one of the brew gets a special success. So sees one of the Humaki. They engage, so combat ensues. They kill those two. It's the cannon fodder kind, so they were easy to get rid of. And so they kind of book it out of there at that point. Go back to town to, heal up, that kind of thing, because more diseases had incurred. So that's where we started this session. Okay, this is what had happened. This is how many points were lost from diseases, all that kind of stuff, to set our characters for the current game. And then, okay, what are we going to do now? And this entire session was a whole lot of just thinking and planning and what do we do next and what can we do? What are we supposed to be doing here? And that kind of stuff at the table. Very few dice rolling, if any, if I remember. I don't think I read. We did. We had a chasing later. So they decide the next day to go. I forgot what time. 4 o'clock. They left at 4 o'clock. I think it had to do with magic points. I actually don't remember right now. And it was just yesterday. But they left at 4 o'clock. They go back out to the cabin where the healer was staying, and they kind of set up a couple watches. One across the way into the woods, another one further up in the woods on the other side. So if somebody's coming down from the worship area or coming in from town, they'll be able to engage. And nightfall comes. An hour and a half later, the cart's coming up, and so the two guys on the trail jump out in front and from behind to block it, and everybody comes from the side. And this is the ogre. And he sees he's completely outnumbered, so he just jumps and runs. And so we do the whole chase mechanic. And this time it actually ran well. I don't know if maybe I was just interpreting the results wrong previously, because this is like the third or fourth time I've tried running this chase thing to make it make sense to me. And it made sense. And as we're going along, things seem to happen sequentially that seem to work out well. Now, the ogre made his roll almost every single time. I think there's just once that he didn't. But the players, Fasana, never made her chase roll. Ed was getting so upset at his dice, he started changing them out. So she got lost fairly quickly, but Severos and the male Homaki made some, missed some, made some, missed some. There were no specials. Oh, I think the ogre actually got a special once, so it would put him another layer ahead. But he did eventually. They lost the ogre, and so the other two come wandering back to the camp area. And what I had done is I wrote out each of the players, the ogre who's running, and then the NPCs and the PC who are chasing, right? And then we just start rolling, success, 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 no change, right? And I started him out as 2 lengths ahead because he just jumped and ran. And that put him like 3 hexes in front of everybody else to start with. And then there's reaction. How long is it going to take him to turn? Do I give him 5? No, I don't do 5. I give him the dexterity strike rank. So that's like 2. So that's now 9 hexes kind of thing. And then they turn and run kind of chase. So I give him the 2 lengths to start out. Then back and forth between close and insight a number of times back and forth. We eventually got to out of sight and then gone. So I had them all written out, and I just run down success, 2 lengths, success, so still 2 lengths, and success, 2 lengths, right? And then there was the failure. Fasana actually spent the first round casting magic on to demoralize him. You can't get away. But she missed her roll, so that put her even further behind. But in doing that, just writing down success, success, failure, 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 whatever, and then what's the current range between them, it just seemed to flow better for me that way, and it certainly made sense. So I'm going to try that next time we have to do a chase in my real game. That's the mechanic I'll use and see if that doesn't make more sense for us. But anyway, so they lose the ogre. And there's a whole, okay, what do we do next? So, no, I missed a part. It was still daylight when they went to the chaos spot itself. Talon and Harmas made their rolls, but all the NPCs missed theirs. So they're all kind of sick. -20 on everything kind of deal. And so they go out and they're looking for trails and tracks. Okay, there's obvious wagon trails going around. Can't tell which way the wagon's actually running. You just tell it comes in and out of the trail and goes around the chaos area. There's obviously foot track from the trail. It goes out in a semicircle around one side of the fire pit and the altar. And there are some brew tracks around the outside of the excuse me, outside of the chaos spot, outside rim of the chaos spot. And I discussed again the fact that there's this blackened area where nothing's growing, it's all dead, and the grass grows up to that line, and trees grow towards that line, but there's no roots going into it. That kind of thing. That's death after that area, right? And so there are some apparent brew tracks that are along the outside rim of that, but they couldn't find the actual trail of the brew going in or out of the chaos pit. And they checked out the altar. It's made of dead bodies. I had forgot this point, but did remind them later that pieces of bodies are missing, arms and legs and that kind of thing, hands and feet, various porous impartians, and the further down in the altar you go, the more decayed and or desiccated, I guess. No, decade's the word. The bodies are, right? So the fresher on top, and then they were, a couple days old, maybe, kind of thing. Like they can really tell. But then, okay, so they lose the ogre. Okay, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? So they go back to town. And this is where sounds go vacillating back and forth. Do we go out to the cast space? Wait for night after night after night, or what? Where can we get more information? What do we do? So they went back to town, and they go and interrogate the followers, the 5 that were in the cabin, specifically Farana, which was the female follower who was trying to help them. Hey, get out of here, guys! This is bad news. And the one who the priestess had removed her blessing, and so the disease started to attack her again. And she ended up losing a couple of points, I think, of constitution from creeping chills, because she had creeping chills and the shakes. So they go visit her. She's obviously not feeling well because she's lost a couple points, but in talking with her, okay, how often these things happen, worship services and that kind of stuff. Have you seen the brew? And she had, I think they called them, demons watching out kind of thing, because she didn't feel too good about the stuff. So I actually had to go back and look in the old cult compendium for Malia. How often do worship services for Malia happen? Well, they occur on Wild Day, specifically Fertility Week. That's the seasonal holy day, right? Well, they're not having these worship services every season, right? That's not happening. So I've taken a clue from Ernalda's weekly minor holy day, Wild Day. So obviously the night before, when there was the actual ceremony happening, that would have been Wild Day. So we got to wait a week for another Wild Day. And so they're, do we go out there, spend every night for a week out there looking for, for either the priestess to show up or for the brew to be there, or what? And they were going to waste that time. So they go, okay, why are we here? They were sent to investigate why the horse trading had stopped, kind of thing, right? Okay, they know why. The place is diseased, nobody's doing anything. So essentially our primary mission was done. And then I had to look back into discussions with the Thane Theros, the old, or whatever, on what their minor mission here was all about. Help them figure out what's going on. Maybe you're here to help, well, maybe not. And so they go to see Severos and say, hey, we got to head back. And when they get to the longhouse, the guards say, never seen anybody there mourning. Theros has died. And they say, oh, okay, we understand. We don't interrupt, but we really need to speak to Severos before we go, because we're leaving. So he gets Severos. Severos comes out, and they're talking. And so there's some discussion. Okay, what's going to happen now that Theros has died? Will Severos, as his son, simply take over? And generally, that's sort of the case, because Harmas is there. He knows if Baranthos dies, he's supposed to be stepping up. But again, I didn't see this at the time. But Harmas is not Orlanthian shit either. He's the traitor. Shoot, I'm drawing blank, but he's of a different cult. Well, the same situation here. To be a clan head, you have to be an initiate of Orlanth, because essentially you become Orlanth Rex, right? All the clan heads are part of Orlanth Rex. But Severos is Yamalian, and his sisters are Nalden, so neither of them can technically take over because they're Orlanthian. Of course, there are going to be Orlanthian guys here, and so there's going to be a power struggle that's going to occur with the death of Theros. And so there's some politics discussion going on between the party and a little bit with Severos. And in the write-up, there's some discussion on that as well. And so Severos is trying to think of how can he bolster his position. And Vasana is Vingan, which is an Orlanth cult. So there's some discussion, hey, the description in the scenario is written to come the other direction, from the players to Severos. But I played this from Severos to the players. Hey, if you can go and talk to Queen Laika to support my position, I can go ahead and initiate with Orlanth to make me a legitimate succession. And with the backup of Queen Laika, that will bolster my position here in Runegate to become the new clan head. And Vasana went into the situation thinking, hey, we, as the party members, we can go back to Clearwine. We can talk with Queen Laika. We can get healers out here, and to bring healers out here, to help Runegate. And that will bolster Queen Laika's position, because she wants to get Runegate as a subservient clan, not an independent, because currently it's independent because Theros hasn't declared fealty yet. And so Vasana is trying to play middleman as well to bolster Queen Laika's position. And so that kind of meshed together, and that's kind of where we ended the session, that Harmast and Vasana are going to go back to Clearwine, speak with Queen Laika about, hey, Severos is the guy. He's going to go ahead and initiate with Orlanth. It's Yamalian. But the Queen can bolster her position with Severos by sending healers and such, because there's all kinds of disease spirits out there. Something as bad has gone down, but the person we think was involved, we have gotten rid of. So lots of talking, lots of discussion, lots of planning, not a lot of dice rolling. But a very nice ending to the scenario. Happy gaming.